Hi, my name is Tim with EBCA Martial Arts. So today we're talking about combinations, um, the understanding of reason why you put certain combinations together. So you can go on anything and find combinations on multiple different things of different combinations all out there. But the task is today is to try to understand the reason why you do certain combinations and the reason why you would put certain combinations together. So from for like coaching, so for like coaching, you know, you could have 6 or 7 different guys and they can all be 1,000 times different from each other because when you're coaching and you're putting combinations together, you're putting it together versus how that person moves and their attributes of what they have to their you know to what they have in their body of what they can do versus power, speed, flexibility, all this kind of stuff. So you put different combinations together versus what you see. How do we get to that first initial steps of combinations? So we have to take it in like a jelly spar situation and versus the 4 tiers of sparring is that when we use something, we're notating in what that work, how does that work for that person who's using it majority of the time. Yeah, of course, there's certain things you can't always guarantee it on, but we're looking for a high percentage. You know, everything you do is a percentage game. So we're looking for a high percentage. And so say, okay, the guy throws a jab, and every time he throws his jab, he has a heavy-handed jab. He snaps heavy-handed, and he throws his body into it, and he always steps. Okay, that's just his tail. It'd be hard to break it, or hard to change it, or hard to adapt and add to it because he's been doing this forever, or that's just his mind process. Let's capitalize on this thing. When he does that, majority of the guys cover a certain way. If they do this, it exposes the opposite side on their face or their head or the body or whatever it is. I'm going to have them, or I want to have the person use that jab, make the next combination to be a hook or whatever, curve punch or overhand or whatever, shovel punch, whatever that's going to be, to blast the opposite side because the person really heavily rolls and covers that side when he does this, which then in turn sets something else up. And so you start building your combinations to this on every different type of start or every type of defensive move, or you're using it for changing levels, or you're using it for distance understanding versus combinations, or you're using upstairs, downstairs, and mid. You're using all these different things to adjust combinations for that person to be able to get really hone in on what they like to do. And this is where everybody comes a little bit different. Everybody attributes kind of changes. So you're looking also, and you can build combinations on flinch moves too. As some guys they have their hands, they rest them a little bit low, and then say they have quick hands coming up. It's not an ideal thing that you like to do is having their hands being down, but it's getting hard to break them of that habit. You got to set them up for success with tells that are bad. And if they know their tells are bad, then that can be used to the advantage. And how you make that used to the advantage is that you would take that tail and use it as a pocket finder for the other person to let them bait into it to capitalize on what they're doing. So then you have to see, okay, every time he does this, the opponent's majority of the time, 80% of the time, do this. Then we can capitalize this way. Let's build a combination giving that circumstance or that situation because he finds himself in that spot majority of the time when he does this type of posturing setup. That's how you're going to build your combinations. And this could be with everything. I mean, this could be with anything and everything, with any type of range at all. It's like, well, I need to follow certain technical steps. Yes and no. You have a concept of it. You need to stay within inside the box of that technical understanding, but you can be a little loose with certain things on how technical you need to be with executing certain stuff. There's certain things that have to be done a certain way to execute, like you're doing, say if you're breaking a person's center to take them down, or there's certain things that you need to try to accomplish to do something, but for the most part, if you stay inside the box of whatever that concept's trying to tell you, you can pretty much always get into that area. And that's what we're trying to do. Then we can fine tune it down where your technical's dead on. But for right now, so combination building is going to really depend on the experience that happens in sparring and versus each individual person. You know, for my experience is that I press and counter. So combinations that I like to do for myself is really developed on that. I lead with my forehead a lot. Um, I'm usually a lot lower than my guys on my knee bending, and I usually press and press and press and press and press and press. That's me. Other guys, they're counters, they stay out. So that two different styles, combination is going to be different between the two of them on how they're going to be versus, you know, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on something that on a certain tool or technique that I don't hardly ever use. I'm going to only use stuff that I'm in that situation majority of the time, you know. That's the techniques that I'm going to train. Now, I'm not saying you don't train the 20% of techniques that you don't see, or 10% of techniques you don't see. You do train them so you're not caught off guard with them, you know, or you can execute them when you see them. But you do want a lot of the meat and potatoes of the stuff that you do is in the range that you're in. So this just comes down to yourself and your coach looking at what's going on and trying to pull your combinations in that direction of, I want you to set your combinations building up on your structure or your style this way. We're going to use that as we're going to engage with this. So you can engage with any type of tool. Doesn't matter. That's going to set up on how that combination is going to unfold. You know, so say guys, you lead with they do with a jab, or say they lead with a front snap kick, or they lead with, they want to do a flying knee. You take whatever happens in that motion, see what happens versus what avenue you're going to take. When they do this, it gives this opening. So your next combination, whatever that tool is going to be. Once you do that, then you have different avenues to take then it's this one, and you take that avenue. That's how you're building your combination, is off that first initial play, seeing how that develops over in experience, and then you just keep finding that path, and that's it. So hopefully that helps you out putting together your own combinations, and just instead of just following. Now, there's nothing wrong just putting combinations together, but maybe through this, when someone tells you, I want you to do this combination, or you see a combination anywhere, your automatically mindset is to process it, the reason why that they're doing that combination. This brings you back to in sparring. If you see a combination set up now, since you're thinking this way, you're going to know what they're going to try to set up for their next shot. They're trying to do this to execute this. It's bringing up the fighting intelligence about it. Once you start seeing that, it just opens the door for new and better things. So play that, have fun, and hopefully it helps you out.